It's like we've always known, been set in stone, unbreakable. It's like I've always dreamed, true harmony, unmistakable, unmistakable.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the House of H.E.R.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Molly, and today
We are talking justice, baby.
we did it. She did it. Cheers.
Oh my God, cheers to it's all being, well, not over, but it is over. It's not over till it's over, and it's over.
Trigger warning.
Yes, so today we're going to talk about justice and the whole kind of process from so
How we
many
got here.
of you asked about like what happened when I left the relationship, and obviously due to the court situation I couldn't talk about it too much. So now that's done, I can kind of tell you the journey, but first,
Trigger warning. In this episode, we speak about themes of trauma, mental health, and abuse. If these topics feel too raw right now, it's okay to pause, step away, or come back when you're ready. And justice.
So this is like, I think so many of you have kind of asked, because I know obviously we've spoke about the relationship, obviously everything that happened, kind of going back. But the only thing we haven't gone over is
The police case.
the police and kind of what happened, you know, and to anyone out there that may be watching, maybe you've just, sorry, I've got hair in my eye, and maybe you want to know how that whole process works. So I hope this can give you a bit of an insight. Obviously, this is my story. Just because mine happened a certain way, it doesn't always, unfortunately, happen that way. It can be better, it can be worse. I know I've spoke to so many women that have been in similar situations, and some of you have had more justice and some of you have had less. So I don't want you to like take this as complete gospel, but I hope that it does give hope that domestic abuse is being taken seriously, and the judge actually really did stand his ground in terms of, because it was in a domestic abuse situation, how much more serious it was, and he really was strong on that. So
he took it very seriously.
yeah, and it just made it so much worse, and we'll get into that once we get into the episode, but he really was strong on how the laws,
severity of the
and how
of
the laws
crime.
are looking at domestic abuse, and he was actually reading from like what a guideline that they have to follow basically, and it was about domestic abuse and how much more serious and sinister that makes the punishment.
So I think last year the police came out and said that we've got a national emergency for violence against women, and they wanted it to be treated as seriously as terrorism.
Really?
Yeah, and they've said they really were going to be cracking down on it. So
and I think it's coming. I mean, I think we are like
your situation was, you were in a not lucky, of course.
Yeah, but I feel like
I think that helped definitely.
Yeah, and also the police department that I was under was Harlow Police Station, and that comes under Essex, and I cannot fault them from start to finish, honest to God. And actually I know 2 or 3 other girls that I've spoke to through Instagram, and both of them that have been under Harlow Police or Essex Police have actually had amazing results, and their ex-partners like put in prison, and a lot of other police stations I feel like aren't getting that. So I know from personal experience, Harlow Police Station have been absolutely incredible, and I was very lucky with the judge I had. And even when I've spoke to people like older women and people that have gone through it like 15-20 years ago, there was no arrests for this stuff. So we are coming on. It's slow, but when I've spoke to people from years ago, it wasn't a thing for your partner to go away for domestic abuse. It just wasn't, which is disgusting, but it's just, unfortunately how the justice system has been. And there is still bits of the justice system that I think are so wrong, and we'll get onto that.
Yeah, and I think there's still... I've spoke to women a year ago who have had a totally different outcome. So I think it really is...
Like you said, it does. It's luck sounds like a shit word to use, but unfortunately it is. And I was just very lucky. And one thing I will say that I think made a massive difference as well, being totally honest, is me standing up and reading my victim statement. I think that just there weren't a dry eye in the room. Yeah, like the CPS ladies were crying, but we'll get to that. So what I want to do is kind of take it back to the beginning, not the right beginning, but like the beginning of the end, the beginning of the end for him. But yeah, so you left the relationship. You didn't even want to go to the police at first, did you? I literally got forced, and I don't mean forced as in, but if it was down to me, I would not have gone to the police. Like which is crazy now, because now I'm like, how did I ever? Do you know what's crazy from me? I've watched you through all this, and I was speaking to you at the time when you didn't want to go to the police. Because you had the court case going on you'd gone to the police, and I was like, I'm not going to the police. I was like, yes, you are. Yeah. But like the change... And that's what's so crazy about the trauma bond as well, the manipulation. Oh, I believed it was me. Yeah, the change in you from then to how you've gotten here so quickly. It's crazy. No, but like how you've gone from there to here. To think that I literally... it was when my mum and dad found out. So basically what happened was I left the relationship in... So I left in July. We split up in July. I went back, which we spoke about in the other episode, in September time. I went back, and then I think it was like November maybe. I can't remember the exact dates, but around November, I actually had a very traumatic car accident. Sorry, no, I'm pointing at my mic, not yours. I had a really traumatic car accident, which I've not even spoke about, but that for me was... That traumatic car incident... You never even... Oh, it's a trauma that I've not even dealt with. We haven't even got... I only found that... I knew about it at the time, but you never went in... That was literally the last time I was in the studio, I was telling you about that. Last time I was here, when the car home, you started telling me about it, I was literally like, Holly, how on earth... Yeah. Have you been sitting on this... Yeah, it was really, really bad. It was actually traumatic. Yeah. Like, you had a traumatic car accident. I was speaking to you every day, and I knew there had been a car accident. But not as bad as what it was. Not a fraction. Yeah, and I think that, for me, was... Although it had nothing to do, like, at this point, like, we wasn't arguing, it wasn't because... But I think when I went back to him, nobody knew. And I think I'd just told my friend... who was my friend at the time, we'd gone away for a girls' weekend, and I told her, and she was like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? And I can't remember how Amber found out that we were back talking again, because I was keeping this all in. I knew what everybody was going to say, but obviously his point of view was, well, I can change, people will get over it. But I was living in this nervous energy again. And while I was back with him, don't get me wrong, there was bits of it but it was all an act. And then I remember... Just putting on the nice guy show. Yeah, but I remember it still, like, as things started happening again, like I'd pick up my phone and he'd be like, who's that? And then I would, like... I remember going out one night and we had an argument, and he said to me, this is why I punch your head in. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Do you remember me telling you that? Yeah. And from that moment on, I just remember thinking, and I had the car accident, and I was just living in this state of walking on eggshells. I remember I would get in his car, and although I wasn't doing anything, I would literally shake. I was a shadow of
shell of
myself.
yourself.
Like,
but I think the fact that I think that's really interesting that it took the car accident to snap you out of it. But I think that's from, like, I'm assuming here, but I feel like that car accident was so traumatic, your life really did flash before your eyes. And I think when things like that happen, it really does put things into perspective.
Yeah, and my sister said to me, she said, it may not have been directly, I'm not blaming the car accident on him, you know, there's a lot I can blame on him, but I'm not blaming that on him. But I think it was that thing in my life that was a turning point where I was living in this energy, and I felt like I was attracting so much negativity, that I was living in this, where bad things kept happening. And that for me was the turning point of, I cannot live my life like this anymore. Whether I'm walking on eggshells because of him, wherever I'm walking on eggshells because I'm now back with him,
and you're not telling
no one knows. I can't live my life. I'm sneaking around. I know I'm not telling. And the thing was as well, like, I always wanted to be able to, in my head, which is how under the trauma bond I was saying to him, you know, when people find out, I want to be at a stage where I can say to people, you know, he's really changed, because at this point I believed he was really going to change and he wasn't going to be this person. So I was like, you know, I will tell people once I know that you've changed. But I bet you could, you know, it's so weird. I'm a bit witchy. I can literally feel
that, like, when you just said that, I could see the vision you had in your head at the time. Like, I can just imagine you sitting there or laying in bed at night thinking how you're going to say, no, he's really changed.
Yeah,
like,
I had my speech.
See it, yeah.
And I genuinely, at this point...
You had your speech, did you say?
Yeah, I literally knew what I was going to say. And the thing was, as well, when we used to talk about him being violent, because there was discussions, and he would say to me, I don't come home from work. I think I've said this on a previous episode, but I don't come home from work and beat you because you haven't done the dishes. It's only ever in arguments, and it's because of the way you talk to me. So I believed genuinely that he was like, you know, I know I'm a bit wrong for what I'm doing, but if you change this, it wouldn't make me like this. And that's constantly what it was. So I was almost like, you know, we're going to change this relationship, because I'm not going to shout anymore. I'm just going to let him control me, what I wear, what I do, who I speak to. And I'm going to be the soft girlfriend, and then he won't hit me. And that is the mental place that my head got to. And
that's completely blown my mind.
Yeah, it was like, honestly, looking back,
I can so see. Well, obviously I can see because it's happened to me, but not that. But I can see how you can fall into that trap of thinking of trying to help them. You think you're helping them, and oh yeah, he's just a bit angry.
Yeah,
he's got an anger issue, so I'm going to help him through it. That's what I was like, my ex-boyfriend. Oh, he's just insecure.
Yeah, so you try
and help him,
and you just can't. And actually, I saw something. There's a lady I follow. That lady I spoke to, that Dr. Jess, who's like a psychiatrist, or basically she's worked with the police, and she works alongside people with trauma from, like, violence against women. Yeah, and she actually spoke about how there needs to be more awareness on women in relationships, violent relationships, going to the doctors with their partners with mental health issues. Right, and this goes a little bit off track, but I remember at the end when he came to my house, I think the last time when he came to pick something up, and he came through the door, and at this point my vertigo was so bad, and I was going to therapy maybe, or hospital or something, and he walked through the door, and at this point, and it sounds crazy, but when I say to you, I couldn't string a sentence together, I felt like my brain had stopped working. I didn't know anything I was saying, and it sounds mad to say that, but I genuinely couldn't think for myself, is what I felt like. And I remember him talking to me, and I remember I was sitting on the stairs, and I was staring at the wall, and he looked at me, and he was like,
you need help.
You need help. Like, I'm really worried about you. And I was thinking, you've done this to me. Like, what? And he was genuinely making me feel like I was mad. Like, and
But
I
that
had
was
to
the
leave
same-
him in my house. He would not leave. I left him in my house and I said, you are still here when I get back, I'm calling the police. And he did leave. But I had to leave him in my house to go to therapy. He would not leave.
That
And-
was the exact same with me, though, in my relationship. I used to tell my parents all these different mental health issues I
issues,
had and
yeah.
all these things that was wrong with me.
It's crazy. And this is what she speaks about. And this is, I think, is so, so important.
That's so
because
true.
You end up thinking you're too hormonal. You've got
You think
ADHD.
you're
You're mentally ill. You've got all of these things wrong with you. And that is exactly what he done to me.
That's a really good warning sign. If you're in a relationship and you feel like you're losing your mind, you feel like you're losing the plot.
Yeah. You're not. You're just with the wrong guy.
Yeah, like that's actually something to be really reflective
But
of.
she actually was doing so much. I will actually, on our page, we'll tag this lady's page because her work and what she does is incredible. But she was actually speaking about how she wants to train doctors to see the warning signs of someone who needs antidepressants.
Well, I think we both had that, didn't we, in our
Yeah.
relationships? We both just couldn't cope with life.
yeah.
We were both extremely overwhelmed. Even
Yeah.
though the abuse was very different, I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything without
And
having a
I
panic
feel
attack.
like my ADHD with him, like, don't get me wrong,
Same.
we've got ADHD, but I feel like I can cope with it. I was at a point in that relationship where I genuinely thought I needed a straitjacket. I was on the brink of saying someone needs to section me because my mind, how I couldn't think, how I couldn't cope,
I couldn't even
like,
drive a car
no,
anymore.
Yeah, like, it's crazy.
I was literally having panic attacks every week. I could not cope at all.
And I was thinking, oh my God, my ADHD so bad, but really I was
Same.
just burnt out and
I was
overwhelmed from
telling
that
my parents
relationship.
how awful I was.
Yeah, it's mental. But that's what it does to you. So I think that is something that definitely like needs to be
Made addressed.
addressed. Yeah, and maybe we can do. Well,
Spoken
hopefully we're going
about.
to get Dr. Jess on. We have spoke to her, so season 2. That'll be that.
I had an idea in the car.
Yeah.
That can still go in. This can still go in. I feel like season 1 should be our stories and like the trauma and the leaving and all of that. And I feel like season 2 should be healed.
Yeah.
Season 3 should be empowered and 4 rich.
We got it.
We got it.
So that I can't remember where exactly I was going with that story, but I just had to mention it because it came into my head. So
Left the relationship.
when I left the relationship, so I was talking about
Police.
so Amber then found out that I was back seeing him, and she said to me when this car accident happened, I cannot watch you if you go back with him and you decide to stay with him, I'm telling mum and dad because you're going to end up dead. And this is when she said to me, you must be lying about what he done to you. And she, like I've said before, she wasn't saying that in a horrible way. She just didn't understand. Because to anyone, why would you, the normal thing is, why would you go back to someone who's treating you like that?
But also imagine that was her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and
that's actually so difficult.
Yeah, and she said to me, you are going to end up dead. Like, she knew how bad it was at this point. And she said to me, you will end up dead. And can you imagine me having to say to mum and dad, or me carrying that guilt of, I knew, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I wish I did more.
So
That's
at that
really...
point, I said to him...
And by the way, actually, I just want to add on top of that, if you are in that position right now where you know someone who's being abused and you're not sure how to help them because they've asked you to be quiet and everything, we have a link in our Stand store for the Women's Aid Survival Guide, I think it might be called, and it's got all the different scenarios, but it basically tells you how to handle a situation if
Maybe
someone
we'll put
you
it in
know.
the show notes as well.
It is. Well, I think it is, but if it's not, our Stand store is either way. But I think it is automatically. I think I always put it in.
Yeah, I think I've seen it in there.
Yeah, but it tells you if you do know someone who's being abused, it shows you how to help.
How to help them, because it's hard, isn't it? You don't want to betray their trust, but so that was what she said to me, and at that point I was like, and I knew at this point he'd said to me, this is why I punch your head in. I knew the relationship was never, at this point I'm looking, thinking, I've got a son. And I'm starting to become a little bit aware of things. And I was like, I can't look at him. I don't want my son to be like him. Nothing like him. I don't want my daughter to grow up to think that this relationship is how it should be. And I think that was a massive wake-up call for me as well. And I was like, I remember he texted me one day, a couple of days after the crash, and he was like, oh my God, your conversation's so dead. Your conversation so dug me out. And I literally just texted back saying, I can't do this anymore. I literally cannot do this anymore. And that was that. And it didn't just end there, because, you know, he went on to completely harass me, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And this is where I started to believe I was so wrong, because he would
guilt trip you. But can I just quickly interject before you move on to the next thing? You know what you just said about that? It's just reminded me, I ended a 2-year relationship like that as well. Yeah. Years ago, I had a boyfriend, and he said, and it was the same, he was awful, he was a horrible boyfriend, and I was just really getting to my limit with him, and he texted me one day and was like, I don't want kids. But he was just trying to bait me, just like him saying your conversation is dead. And I just thought, do you know what? I went, it's 2 years I was with him. I went, oh, that's a shame, we don't want the same things. I'm done.
But that's what
He was like, I'm crying at work, you bitch. And I was like, I never went back.
Yeah, and I just literally reached that limit.
It's that little thing, isn't it?
It's that little thing that tips you over the edge. But he guilt tripped me so much. Like, he
was the victim. He became the victim.
Oh my God. I actually let him come round, and I sat in front of him and spoke it out. We had a cup of tea.
Makes me feel sick.
I know. And he cried, and I cried, because I was massively trauma bonded to him. Like,
you felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I thought I loved him, and I couldn't. And he was just like, "Why are you being a heartless, cold bitch?" That's what he said to me. Because when we had this conversation, I was like, "You just need to go now, and you need to not contact me." And he didn't stop there. He continued to contact me, and then I would go days. I'd blocked him on social media. Over Christmas, it was like, this is going to be the worst Christmas of my life.
I remember you sending me these messages.
Yeah.
But listening to you say this, having just been to court, makes me feel, now I have seen the trial and everything, and I've looked at him, and I'm hearing this, it makes me feel so much more sick.
Yeah. Because now you can, like, picture it almost.
Well, because I've just relived the whole thing in court. Yeah. And watched it all.
And heard it in detail, and then you think, and this guy is telling me.
And I've seen him hear it, I've seen it. Obviously I knew everything had happened and stuff, but it feels almost, not far away, but like I've watched this trial. I've seen him hear. I've seen him stand there and listen to all of what he did to you. Yeah. And so to hear that after he did all of that, knowing he sat in your house and guilt tripped you.
Yeah, and I felt completely guilty. Like, I went out for my birthday, and he was messaging everyone. I saw one of his friends, like girlfriends, while we was out for my birthday, and he'd been ringing her phone all night apparently, asking what I'm doing, am I there, has she seen me. He had 6 or 7 different fake profiles on social media, and this is a bit that I've not really spoken about, which was a huge thing for me. I actually spoke a little bit about the other day. Is I blocked him on social media, obviously, because every time I posted something he would make a comment about it. But what I can't stop having an open account is what accounts follow me. Now, I do my best to keep on top of them, because I had to when I was with him, because God forbid a guy would follow me. But when I did split up, a normal person would have a little look, not let you know. You know, we've all done it. We've all gone back and looked at an ex-boyfriend's page and seen what they're doing. But you look back, you have a little thing and think, oh, they look happy, and then that's it, or whatever.
If anyone does need, I'm a fantastic detective. I've never made a fake account, but I'm a very good detective.
Finding stuff out. That's what the police told you, didn't they?
Yeah, one of my boy mates, sorry, this is unrelated, but one of my boy mates someone hit his wing mirror off the other day in Epping, and he just had her name and her picture, but he couldn't find her anywhere he'd looked. Whilst we were on the call, within 2 minutes, I had found her.
Yeah. Detective
Miles.
But yes, he had all these fake accounts of me, but would make it known. So he would tell me that he's watching from a fake account because he wanted me to have that fear of
you can't post
your pictures, you can't.
He's seeing it. When my ex-boyfriend hacked me and he took all of my work and I lost everything, that's obviously the most devastating thing you could do to me. But the thing that was scaring me the most was that he would see that I'd spoke to my boy mates.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fear in that situation.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it, how much you get like...
When I'd lost everything, my whole business shattered.
Yeah.
I was about to be in a lot of debt. And my biggest panic of all was that he'd see that I'd had...
Because that's what he used to make you feel guilty over, or like you're a slag, or...
Yeah, they'd had an innocent conversation with my boy mates.
Yeah.
That was what I was scared, even though I didn't want to be with him anymore.
That's what you worried about, probably because of what he thought or what his opinion would be of you. That's how they get in your head. It's crazy. But yeah, like he knew I would be scared to do anything and move on while he was watching.
Know he was watching.
Yeah, and
he didn't want you to feel like you could escape.
Yeah, so he would make it known, and I remember like he would screenshot where I am and send it to friends, like my friends' husbands. He just literally followed my every single move, and that for me was what stopped me showing up online. And he would contact me to the point like over Christmas, like I'd not hear from him for a week, and I'd be able to breathe. And I'd blocked him on social media at this point. I'd blocked him on WhatsApp, but I never blocked his number or iMessage, because I always, and I remember saying this to you, I had this fear if I did, he'd turn up at my house, because he used to ring me, and I'm not talking 1 or 2 calls.
I was in Malaysia and you were screenshotting me some of the things he was saying to you.
And I think actually New Year, I think he messaged me New Year, like Happy New Year to you and the kids. The last time I think we had a big like him driving me mad to that extent was a couple of days after Christmas, maybe. And then I can't remember. What?
I found the Christmas and New Year's Eve messages.
You've got them?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally they
Should
were
I read them? This is fucking crazy. You can literally see all the messages.
That there's, I'm not joking, a lot of messages.
Sent you a video of you and him on Merry Christmas, my lady. Heart ... Hopefully speak to you in the new year at some point when your head settles down. So straight away it's back on you.
Yeah.
Love you always, and I'll never give up on us. We got this, H. And how's he done that? It's a sticker. He's made a sticker.
Honestly.
And then a video of you two. And then the next day, not even a Merry Xmas Matt. Here we go. Not even a Merry Xmas back. That emoji. You must really hate me, lol. You're defo talking to someone else, and more I think about it, I'm so sure 100, but I needed that.
It's giving crank.
Yeah, like, babe. All right, see you tomorrow when you're belling me off again.
Yeah, that's what used to happen. And he constantly would accuse. And I'll get to the even funnier bit, because the whole time he was accusing me of sleeping with someone else, he was. So we'll get to that interesting.
Oh, that was a part of the journey, wasn't it?
Honestly, that was a trigger and a half. But so he.
Can I read one more?
Go on.
This is my last message. Are you going to tell me what your plan is with that, or what? I'm on my own for the next 2 days in my head. It's the worst Xmas ever, okay? My own, and going through a breakup with you. And I've seen stuff that you didn't used to allow and you've not even removed. Why can't you just tell me if you're going to do that or not? You're being bitter and punishing me for no reason this time. This is because someone had followed you.
This is because someone had followed me. Honestly,
what are your intentions? Honestly, sorry, I can't.
So
apparently you're playing games.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It was, but that's constantly what it was. Blaming me, even though we all know how violent he was now. but it was me. I was moving on with someone else. Bearing in mind, at this point, I could hardly string a sentence together. So I don't know how he thought that I would be going on.
That was the last thing on your mind.
Last thing ever
You
on my
didn't
mind.
entertain.
I could just about get through the day.
Yeah.
But this is what happened. And then I can't remember what actually happened. I remember going to hospital just before Christmas when my vertigo was so bad.
You've told that.
And he made me sit on the phone to him
While you're throwing up.
I was throwing up, and was accusing me of being with someone else, not at the hospital. So I had to send him pictures of me at the hospital, proof that I was in the hospital, because he didn't believe. And I would stay on the phone to me while I was throwing up, couldn't think, questioning me that am I with someone else. Then I think I literally put down the phone on him and just said to him, I can't do this anymore. You really need to leave me alone. And then he turned up at the end of December to pick a suitcase up, which is when he opened my door, came in, and I had to leave him in my house. Yeah. They say that when you leave a relationship, that can be the most dangerous time, because it's when they literally do think, if I can't have you, no one will.
That's the time you're most likely to...
Yeah. To be in real danger. Well, not that you're not in real danger in the relationship, but for them to take drastic action. So I can't remember what exactly happened, but I didn't actually hear from him for a while. And at this point, if you do follow me on Instagram, you will know that I was going for a massive, massive promotion with work. And I think I literally, bearing in mind at this point as well, only my sister knew and friends had started, and more had started coming out, but my mum and dad didn't know. So there was still a lot of me that lived in this bubble of it's not actually real, which sounds mad, but because I had to put on such an act 24/7 around my parents, around the children, it was like I was living this double life almost, of like my feelings of this relationship and what was actually going on was still so suppressed that nothing actually was feeling real. But because I was in therapy at this point, it was becoming harder and harder to keep a lid on my emotions. But through January, I put every single thing into hitting that promotion with work.
Yeah,
and I literally gave that my all, and it was almost a thing of, you are not taking this away from me. And I was so gutted because I could have hit that months before I did, and I'd left it down to the wire. If I didn't hit it by January, I would never have been able to hit it.
It was crazy though, wasn't it? Even how you hit it was just crazy.
Oh my God, like how I'd done that. I mean, that is a whole nother story, but we had about £15,000 worth of sales in the last 5 days, and we've never done that ever. And it was just the stars, that was just meant to happen. And I genuinely believed that once I got that I wouldn't care about anything else. I wouldn't care about how hurt I was from him. I would just be able to, oh my God, I'm a founder now, and that would be it. Actually, it was the complete opposite, and it was the start of the end of my downward, very, very downward spiral, because I think what happened was in January, I put everything into that. I wasn't dealing with my emotions. I was keeping them pressed down. And then I hit that, and it was like,
nothing else.
I'd come on this come down, and I suddenly was like, what the fuck is happening to me? What have I just been through? Like, I've now not got all that pressure of work. I haven't got to be at my phone. I haven't got this big distraction to take me away from what is actually going on in my life. Fuck. And I had no reason to be on that. I should have been on the biggest high, like what I wanted my whole life, or was to hit a pinnacle moment like that in my career, and I'd done it.
I remember you being in my house.
Yeah, and it was just, it was nothing of what I thought it would be, because my life was actually, my mental health was falling apart around me. So actually, it just showed me that no amount of money, no amount of hitting these high statuses, when you are broken or going through trauma, that doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And that proved it to me. And that's where for me
had the police come in at that point?
No, so this is when I really hit a low. From February is when I really started I had no distractions, so I had to deal with what was going on, and I'd really got deep into my therapy journey at this point. I'd really started deep on my healing journey, and I remember going and having a Kundalini 1-to-1 with Kat, where she basically, it sounds woo-woo for anyone who doesn't believe in this stuff, but it basically opened me up, and she done a cutting of the cord ceremony, because throughout this point I was devastated and broken, but I genuinely still believed it was me. I genuinely believed, I knew it was wrong, I knew the violence was wrong, I knew my therapist had said to me, do you understand what is happening with you? Do you understand what
has happened?
What has happened? My friends, my family, everybody was around me saying it, but I still believed it was me. And I had this ceremony and I went into an emotional crisis, and I've been very good at keeping a lid on my emotions around my children. They know nothing. I would go around the kids, and how I done it, I look back and I think I must have been super fucking human at that point, because
I remember the first time when you were telling me that he was abusive, though. You downplayed it so much. I can remember you sat in my living room, what chair you was on, and how you told me he'd been abusive. And I was saying to you, Holly, that's really bad that you do. You was like, I feel like what happened to you is worse.
Yeah, well,
But
I would show people pictures, and I could reel it off like I was talking about it happening to someone on EastEnders.
You never said it the way, like you barely touched
Yeah, because
the
I didn't.
surface.
Even when I told people,
I don't think you had told yourself at that point how bad it had been.
Yeah, no, and I hadn't. Even when people did start finding out, I never went into detail. I hid it for so long. And then I did start to talk about it, and I hit this emotional crisis, and I'd kept it so away from my children. And I remember the next day after having that opening up, it must have unlocked something in me, and I basically messaged my sister and my friend Steph and said, I can't go on anymore. Like, I can't. I was so scared of, like, it literally chokes me. Even this is the bit that gets me, not the violence. I still feel like I'm disconnected from that. The bit that gets me is I was so frightened of my own mind, because I'd never believed that I would feel any different. Like, to sit here now and see how I am, because if you've ever had those dark thoughts, and I was looking at my children, and I remember I picked Georgie up from school. It was getting to the point, and actually I sent you some messages the other day, like I would say to Amber, like I'd try and my house was such a trauma place that I would try and go to my mum, and it was like wherever I was, I couldn't rest. Like, I would try and go to my mum and dad's to escape from not being in the house. Thank you. I would try and go to my mum and dad's to escape, like,
to
being
get
in
away
my
from
house.
it.
But then at this point they still didn't know, so I'd go there, and I literally was like, I can't even explain to you the feelings I felt. I just didn't want to be here anymore. It's truthfully how I felt. And I remember picking Georgie up from school one day, and I hit that point of, like, I couldn't cope, and I'd not coped well, but I'd hid it for so long.
You've been carrying it for too long, and you couldn't carry it.
And I just picked her up from school, and I just sobbed. And I remember looking at her face and looking at me like she literally sat in silence. She didn't know what to do, and I couldn't. And I just kept saying to her, I'm so sorry, but I could not physically keep it in anymore. I couldn't see the screen. I couldn't. And I got home, and I just sent my friend Amber and Steph a message and just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm never going to feel better. I'm never going to, like, what's wrong with me? I'm losing control of myself. I couldn't control my thoughts, and I just genuinely didn't. I'd just given up. And my sister said to me, my friend Steph actually brought her dog and her little girl round and basically slept on the floor with the dog and her little girl, and didn't leave me. She literally came round, cooked dinner, and that was the night. My sister drove round, and she just said to me, like, I feel like I'm really emotional.
Be emotional. Don't say sorry.
I feel like I'm in therapy. But she literally said to me, I'm genuinely worried that you are going to do something, and I need to tell Mum. Like, I can't. She was worried. She thought I was going to do something stupid, and at this point, I was just scared to be on my own because I actually thought I was. I genuinely believed that I'd reached that point that there was no return for me. If
You
this
had
was
to
your little girl,
You had to go to the police. This is giving me chills, but you had to go to the police for your parents as well, and
Yeah.
for your sister,
Yeah.
and for your kids, for their mum,
their-
for
yeah.
their daughter, for her sister.
because I couldn't have lived, and also at this point as
Obviously,
well.
for yourself, really, you had to, but you weren't. You were in such a bad place.
At this point,
you
it
couldn't
wasn't
think,
for myself.
You
no,
couldn't
it
think
was-
about
yeah.
yourself.
and that was it. And even then, I didn't go to the police straight away. The following week, we were due to be going away for my uncle's 60th, a weekend away.
I remember
and it
that
was
as well.
Valentine's weekend. So we had to, and I wasn't going, was I? I was like, I'm not going. The thought of, but also staying in a hotel room was a huge trigger for me. Every time that I'd stayed in a hotel with him, whether it'd be after a night out or on holiday, he would beat me. And I'd come back injured, broken bones, spat on, smash my head against the wall, bite marks in my face, like everything. Hotels are a huge trigger for me. But also, I think my family was so worried about me at this point that
They couldn't
they was
leave
all
you.
going, and they was like, we are not leaving you. And luckily, I was in a hotel room with my sister. But oh my God, I was in such a bad way. And
I
actually,
remember.
it's mental because you'd never know. The picture that I actually posted, I don't know if you've seen it on,
I've got a video of you.
and I'm in a black dress cut out.
No, but look at this video of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was from then.
Yeah.
And I was...
You can see there's nothing
there. Oh
behind
my
the
God, I
eyes.
was in the worst place that weekend, the worst place.
You sent me that video of yourself in the hotel room and said, why am I doing this to myself? I feel like I'll never feel comfortable in my own skin again and not worry about this silliness. You was worrying about your neck, wasn't you?
I got this like weird obsession with my neck, which is absolutely crazy. But it was like everyone had said to me I'd lost control of everything and myself, and it was the only thing that I could control. I was using that, was my way of letting my trauma out almost. It was really weird. And
I've got a lifetime supply of videos of your neck.
oh my God, literally, I think everyone in my company has that. I was just obsessed with this neck thing. There's nothing fucking wrong with my neck, but I was obsessed at it. And it's crazy, but trauma makes you go into really, really weird places.
But even then, in that video, you look
oh my God, I was in the worst possible place.
like you look like you've
I
completely
didn't
lost
drink,
your...
I went to bed, I left everyone up, and everybody looking back afterwards was saying to my mum and dad, we're really worried about Hollie, like what is going on. But at the same time, it was my mum and dad's best friends. Like, he's not my blood uncle, but he's as good as, like, and it was his birthday, and my dad had been really looking forward to it. He'd had some ill health, and we wanted my dad to have a good weekend, so we decided to not tell my dad before that weekend. And then when we came back, and that was the weekend that
can't
he
imagine.
screenshotted where I was and sent it to a friend, was like, look at this cunt, knew she'd be in a hotel, and then like 5 minutes later sent saying, false alarm, I've just checked her sister's Instagram and she's at the hotel too.
Who the hell was the friend?
I can't say, I'm not naming names.
Was the same friend that was at court?
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry. How are you, as a man, even sitting and hearing that from you? How are you letting your mate text you like that?
Honestly, crazy, but, scum attracts scum, don't it? So,
Scum attracts scum.
and yeah, so we came back and we told my dad. Well, I actually wasn't there. I refused to be there. I couldn't be the one to tell him.
Well, your dad, I've seen your dad cry, and I've only met him a handful of times. He's the most loving person, and your mum as well. Both of them, as soon as you meet them, you feel like you've known them forever. And they just literally welcome you in and look after you like one of their own.
Yeah.
As soon as you meet them.
And my dad's like a big softie.
Your
as well,
dad is so full of love.
And because of his health and stuff, I think he feels like, because he's not
gets
this
very
big macho
sentimental.
man, that he's not scared. You know, like some dads, you think, oh my God, I wouldn't mess with her because
My
of her
dad's
dad.
like that as well. My dad, I think we have very similar relationships.
Yeah.
My dad cries.
Yeah, and he
And
just
that's
feels
my
that I think-
favourite thing about him.
Yeah, and I
would
just,
never
and
want
he's
him.
more of a man than any
Yeah.
people that think they're men.
Yeah.
And because he's emotional and he's a softie, he thinks sometimes, I think that because he's not this big macho man, people take the piss.
So they told your dad?
Yeah, so they told my dad. I went there that night, but I refused to be there when my dad found out. And I went round there afterwards, and that was the night I told the police. My mum made me
How did your dad
do-
react?
Oh, he was broken. He just cried and cuddled me, and he just was so angry. And their point of view was
They've
at
had
this
him. They've
point-
had him in their house.
yeah, and at this point, yeah, my dad is like,
Your dad went
shaking-
football with him, didn't he?
My dad's like, I'm messaging him about West Ham tickets. I'm still following him on Instagram because my dad just thought, you know, they've broken up. Like, it happens. They had no idea. And even the controlling side of it, all of my friends and my sister knew that he was an absolute psychopath in terms of just the controlling stuff outside of the violence. But my mum and dad still didn't even know that. They never liked him. They always knew that he wasn't the right one for me, and they actually kept their distance from him a lot, which is why they didn't see too much of the controlling stuff. But my dad was like, he's messaging me about West Ham tickets.
That's so, like, that is...
He's shaking my hand, and I'm following and liking. He said, and he's been putting stuff up of his little girls, and I'm liking his videos, and, you know, keeping it amicable. And I think that just absolutely ruined my dad. And he was just devastated. Like, you can imagine the comments that my dad was making, like any dad would. And
So was my dad.
yeah, and it just it broke him. But they literally sat there and they was like, and at this point as well, a lot of people in my friendship group were going out. This was February time, and it was his birthday around then, and everyone was going out drinking with him. What should we do for his birthday? Where should we go? What should we do? And they was just like, you can't get out of bed to look after your children, and he's prancing around getting his claws into his next victim. Absolutely not. We're going to the police. My mum was literally like, you don't really have a choice in the matter. You are going to do
That's
the
the best
report,
outcome.
or I'm going to do it on your behalf. And
But I remember as well, you felt really guilty about going to the police.
oh
You
my
didn't-
God,
You was worried about his kids.
I was worried about his children. Oh my God, I felt terrible. I went to the police station. So I'd done the police report online and I filled it in, and that was really hard because I had to go through some details with my mum. My dad actually left the room at this point.
Has your dad heard your episode?
No, he won't listen to a thing. He won't listen to a thing. Obviously, he sees bits on Instagram.
Because he always shares it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
My dad I watched mine with my dad, but I had to walk out the room a few times.
Yeah, no, my dad won't. My mum's listened to it. Everyone's listened to it. My dad won't. He refused to come to court. He just can't.
Can't deal.
He can't deal with it. And he.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't think that would have been. I couldn't imagine your dad having to sit through that trial.
No, he would have. It just wouldn't have happened. And I'm glad because he
I'm
knows
glad.
enough. You know, he doesn't need to know the ins and outs. He knows that I was in a violent, abusive relationship, and that's that. He doesn't need to know that. I mean, with his health as well, and that was another thing of why I didn't tell my mum and dad, because you know they've been through so much, and I felt embarrassed that I was another problem. That's how I felt. I thought, oh my God, it's another thing. And even though it wasn't my fault, you kind of feel embarrassed and ashamed. And that's why I kept it from them for so long, until it got to a point that my sister was genuinely thought I was going to top myself. And so I went to the police, and this is where the story kind of goes from there. And I didn't go to the police. I went online.
Did you do the live chat?
No, I done like a form, like a report a crime.
My stepmom, whilst I was being hacked, just went on the
Police.
on the Essex Police live chat, and we had an appointment the next morning whilst I'm trying to stop
Do
them
it.
hacking
Yeah,
me.
so it must have been, they was really quick. I think they are like hot on this stuff, but it was really.
I went to Loughton Police Station.
Yeah, mine was Harlow.
I didn't get the best.
The best.
I mean, I got passed on, thankfully, to Essex Police, and it's just so only because of the cyber element, though. But the actual police, the people on my case at Loughton Police Station were not going to do anything about it. I was again very lucky that because there was a cyber aspect, and it just so happened the person they asked to check it on the detective on the Essex Police cybercrime team had spent 7 years prior in domestic abuse. So he got it straight away. If it hadn't gone on his desk,
it would have just got, which is just so bad, isn't it? But that's what I mean. It is all about luck. I know luck's not a good word to use.
If he hadn't have hacked me, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
Like he was harassing me relentlessly for 6 weeks.
Yeah, and people, I know we are actually going to do an episode, aren't we, on harassment and stalking.
He was stalking me. My brother and sister had to stop walking to school.
Yeah, and that's it, that people don't realise how damaging. And I was saying,
I literally lived in fear of my life
Yeah.
every single day for 6 months. And as much as the police are making progress, that's allowed.
Yeah,
That
and
would have been
such
allowed.
People don't talk about it enough, and I know we're going to do so much
On that. But they are definitely getting there, the police.
Yeah, it's getting better.
And I
But they
think,
were so-
yeah, sorry, continue.
They were so quick, so they literally rung me. I think it was that night. They rung me literally that night, and then I think they asked me to go in the next day, but I couldn't make it, so I went in a couple of days later and kind of done a brief outline of just like, and the thing is as well, even in the court case, that only is like not a sum up, but there was so much every single day that isn't even taken into account in that court case. Like they know them, they've seen.
We would have to sit there.
I had to give my whole phone for them to go through the messages and all of that. So they've seen day to day the abuse, but violence wise, they're only pinpoint messages. There's not the nights we got in bed and we'd have an argument and he'd rip my hair out or rip my clothes, or none of that is even in there, because they just took specific events that had happened, big ones, where there was like really bad violence, and
I
went
think
with
as
those.
we're going on, more violence
is coming
the
up,
more
because
we talk about it, the worse I realise
because
it
the thing is,
was.
there's nothing in there about nights that he pulled my hair out. Literally, we'd have an argument in bed, and he'd literally he'd grab my hair and literally rip clumps of my hair out. He'd rip my clothes. None of that is even part of it. Like that hasn't
Tip
even
of the iceberg.
Yeah. So in actual fact, it was so much worse. But when I went in there and they, I was showing them evidence, he said to me, the police officer actually in there said to me, looked at it, and he said to me, how have you lived like this? From like the controlling point of view, like the things, I'd have a bit of knee out, and this was actually read out in court, wasn't it?
Oh, can we, should we save that to the court, or can we tell that now?
No, we can tell it now.
When they read that out in court, they read out the messages, and I was looking at him. That was the only time I'd say I smiled. I don't even think I did smile, but I just thought, because obviously his family was there as well, and their attitude was, anyway. But a lot of the time as well when it was going on, he was a bit like rolling his eyes, a bit like,
It makes you die,
Yeah.
rolling his eyes, but goes guilty, writes a letter to say how sorry he is, and blames...
Did you read that?
No. And blames seeing abuse when he was younger as the reason why he's abused, but sits there the whole time while they're
Rolling
reading
his
things,
eyes.
rolling his
No,
eyes.
but I just
Every
thought-
single thing that you have been done for, the only reason the other bits, like pulling my hair out, is because there was no evidence for that. I
Yeah.
didn't have pictures of that. But every single thing that you have been arrested for,
We've
the
had to
reason,
prove beyond
the reason you
reasonable
got
doubt.
put on remand straight away, and the reason that you are where you are, is because I had photo evidence and messages to back everything up. So how you are rolling your eyes just as if to say you haven't done it, when there is, you would not be where you are.
No, but right,
it makes me like,
he was sat there, right, rolling his eyes, whatever. They humbled him so badly, like into the depths of hell, he was humbled. Like, genuinely, I think I'd die of embarrassment on the spot.
Yeah, because also his friend who came
they're all sat there
and
giving
family
it.
have never, although they know what he's in for, and even though you'd like to think that they would have the moral compass to not be there and not even not be there and support it,
But have some shame.
but have some shame and just have some remorse for the
Victim.
person, and instead of looking at me like I've done a terrible injustice to them.
They had no remorse. They
None.
had no shame.
Not one bit.
You're not allowed on your phone there. They was all sat on their phones the whole time. There was nothing.
No,
not
they
an
don't. All
ounce.
they cared about when they got up was, so he's getting released on this date. Yeah, he's getting
but
released on this
mate,
date.
How that man, the man who came to court with him, how he listened, like, he has a daughter as well. How he listened to that, it was harrowing. Everyone was crying. Like, it was, I will never forget that day for the rest of my life. This man with a daughter, none of them showed any remorse or empathy.
Yeah, but that's why he is the way he is.
Because he's
Like-
their neighbours. But as soon as the man got up, all her family, her life has been destroyed, you've listened to it. All her family and friends have sat here. We've all been sobbing next to you this whole time. You get up, you don't look to us and say, he was looking at us the whole time as well, intimidation tactic, I think. You don't have you no dignity?
Walk out with your head down a little bit and just give him fun.
He
But he's-
literally went, so 18th of whatever, December 2027, like,
honestly, it's
babe,
embarrassing.
you should be in there with him, darling.
Honestly, it's like,
But
that's
that's
the
what I was
reason,
going to
because
say about
he's...
the knee. That's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
It was that. I go to sleep at night thinking about that. It was, because I remember that. I really remember that happened. Those messages about the knee were insane. They fucking read them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I was going to say is, although his family and friends obviously know what he's in there for, and his mum knew about the abuse, she's seen pictures, she actually has said to me before, he's
Leave him.
lucky you don't call the police on him. And she's seen all the messages. She knows, more than anyone, his mum knew
The most.
And
But
they didn't know the details of the day-to-day messaging. So for the court read out the messages, because
that's what I wanted to
there's
say.
one thing of saying, oh, he's controlling, he's a bit of a nutter, and then you read the kind of stuff.
But literally, that was like, when he stood there and read it, I thought, like, because they half come in giving it a bit, like, they're on their phones. His friend, I do not know why, was literally looking at us the whole time. I actually had a stare off with the friend. I had a stare off with him as well.
Oh yes,
And he, like, they've come in there, whatever. I thought, even if I was just even if I was just sat on that side of the courtroom, I would get up and walk. I would die of embarrassment. And it wasn't, of course, they read so many awful, violent things he did, but it was the thing that I actually thought was the most embarrassing was the messages he was sending you about your knee being in your Instagram. Because
just to put it into perspective, the photo of my knee was me laying on a sofa at the end of a day, pitch black. And when I tell you, we're actually going to have to, when we talk about it, we're going to have to show you, because the picture of my knee is probably not even my whole knee. No legs in it, just the corner of my knee. And he threatened to kill me.
No. It was genuinely, you know, like when them reels on TikTok, when you film your younger sibling having a temper tantrum and they're like, it was the most humiliating thing I have ever heard in my life for him. Like, the way he spoke, like, can you imagine?
You fucking slag.
It was in capital letters, like, it was
because
so
of that much
embarrassing.
knee.
Like, it was so embarrassing. Like, genuinely, if I had ever said that, like, you know, at the time when he's sending it, he obviously never thought that anyone would ever see that. And, like, you're having to have that read out in a courtroom, like, it was just the most... I've never seen anything more humbling in my life than getting to watch his friends and his family and him listen to the way he abused you over a quarter of you. It was the most cringy. Like the things he was saying and the way he spoke to you was like beyond ick. I don't actually have words for how humbling that must have been. Like how you could ever sit. I'd die of shame. Like it was literally like. It was totally insane. I could never find the words.
It's actually not even. I genuinely believe he's psychotic.
But I just don't know how he actually sat there typing that and wasn't
And
like,
thought that was-
this is cringy.
Yeah.
This is so cringe and ick. The things he was saying, the capital letters, like, it was just embarrassing. I remember seeing the messages of the knee and thinking, I'd be so embarrassed if I'd ever behaved that. Like it's
a mental illness at that point because the abuse was just so bad and so off the scale of.
I watched him.
Yeah.
I literally watched him as they said that, and I looked at.
They
his
read out
family
word
as well.
for word what he'd said, and it was just.
It was magnificent.
Yeah, and those were the things, and it was
Poetry,
actually
emotion.
And the police officer actually at that point over all of these things looked at me and he said to me, I don't actually know how you've lived like this, aside from the violence, the mental day-to-day torture, which I've always said for me is the worst bit. So he made me do the statement, and at this point he categorised it. They have to categorise it in how they see it as a risk. In
Risk
terms
assessment.
of him being a danger, and they put it straight away as high risk. I was immediately passed over to a charity called Changing Pathways.
Sorry, but his defence tried to argue as well that he wasn't a risk.
Oh, it wasn't a risk. Well, the judge put him right, didn't he, and said that he is a risk to the public, and that's without his temper flaring. And when his temper flares, it goes high. His risk to the public when he loses his temper. But he
like, does he want a nappy or something?
Embarrassing. I mean, it's not even embarrassing. It's he's mentally unwell. I believe. I genuinely believe his behaviour is someone who. It's so far from normal.
It's evil.
It's evil. It is evil.
It's complete, pure evil.
And he. So yeah, I done my statement, and they told me that he would be arrested within the next couple of weeks. It was put as high risk. I was transferred to the Changing Pathways charity, and that's when the real anxiety crept in.
So I think you never really wanted to go to the police.
I never
at the
really wanted to,
beginning.
and I still believed that it was my fault. I even said to the police, I was panicking because I went back to him and I said to the police, do you remember? And I said to him, like, but I went back, like, because you got to remember, everyone around me and his family, friend, and everyone was, you are going back. Like, what do you expect almost? You're choosing to go back. So I thought, and he would say to me, you get in bed with me, you do, and you're coming back to me. So no one's going to feel sorry for you. And I genuinely think no one did feel sorry for me in the end because they didn't understand the trauma bonding, etc. And actually, when I said it to the police for the first time, it was a kind of like a light bulb moment for me. And I said to him, like, I am really sorry, but I went back. Like, I know I've asked for it. Like, I've gone back. And he literally looked at me and was like, Hollie, people go back for 15, 20 years. You've gone back a couple of times. This is the cycle of abuse. And
Didn't he say on
average
average it's about 7 times?
7 times, yeah. And he said, and people do this over a 15 to 20 year period. You've done it over a year and a half, and you've gone back a couple of times. This is the cycle of abuse.
I would be
more weird. Yeah, and they actually said to me that had I have lived in the house with him, I probably wouldn't have survived.
You probably wouldn't have got away either.
Yeah, my saving grace was that I didn't have any ties to him. I didn't have children, and he didn't live in my house, so I would never have been able to get him out. If he lived in my house officially, I would never. And they said that to me. They actually said to me, I don't think you would have got out. You wouldn't be here now, or you'd still be surviving the relationship.
It's just awful.
So yeah, so I done that, and then it was a waiting game. It was a complete and utter waiting game throughout this period. Obviously, I was speaking to the police loads. They was ringing me, adding to the statement. But what was crazy was that they told me there was going to be. So the process of how they told me it was going to work was, They would arrest him. And at this point, I had no idea he was going to be going to prison. I genuinely, not for a second, thought he was going to be going to prison. I genuinely thought, from what they had said to me, what happens is when someone nicks something out of a supermarket, for instance, they can charge them then and there. So they can pull them in and they can say to them, we are charging you with X, Y, and Z. When it comes to domestic abuse and things like that, they can't, the Essex police can take them in and question them, but they cannot charge them. They have to get the case together, so they would present the evidence.
They have
would
to
question
have a
him.
warrant for his arrest.
They had
to arrest him.
that, but it was once they've taken them in and questioned them, they cannot charge them. It has to go to CPS. So he would have been questioned, bowed, and they have to get the case together and send it to CPS, and CPS can take 4 weeks to come back. So that was the process. They said to me, we cannot charge him, we will bring him in, we will question him, he will be released on bail, and CPS have 4 weeks then to decide whether they think there is enough here to charge him or not. So I am of the thing, they're just literally going to pull him in, they're going to question him, he's going to be released on bail. They're not going to do anything with it because I'm still in the mind frame of I'm dramatising this a bit, this isn't that bad. He's going to be released on bail, but he'll know I'm not messing around, and hopefully that will just scare him a little bit to stay away from me and stop ringing. In February, once I hit Founders on the 1st of February, he emailed me. So now he's blocked on everything and he emails me. And he emails me to say, well done, congratulations. I went back on the email and said thank you, because if I didn't, I was still in this thing of I'm going to get a tirade of messages. So the easiest thing for me to do was to just go back and say thank you.
Hollie, regardless.
Yeah. But this is what his family, when I spoke to someone in his family, they used against me, because they said, well, you didn't tell us he was harassing you. You went back. Yes, I replied because if I didn't, I would get harassed.
That you were not well.
Yeah, no, I would genuinely like.
Also, you were in a trauma bond. You still loved him.
Yeah, exactly. So he sent a nice message. I went back and said thank you.
Also, that's your nature, because you're a polite person, you're a people pleaser, you don't want to be this rude, horrible bitch that he's told you you are all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely believe, why am I so cold? Why am I this?
Yeah.
Then, because my mum then had found out, and or if the friends were aware that my mum was going to be told, because obviously I'm in a friendship group now, everyone talks. He found out, I think, that my mum was going to find out, and that there was potential talks maybe of her going to the police. So then he starts calling me again. And I was waiting for a call from the doctors, and I picked up the phone. It was a private number, and I answered and I said hello. And it was him. And I put the phone down straight away. Again, when I'm saying, hang up all day. So a friend had to ring him and tell him to leave me alone. He is now emailing me these long messages.
Oh my God, they were completely...
Right, so the email basically said, can you do me a favour? I need to be able to move on with my life. So if you could do me a favour and meet me. He didn't want us to talk over the phone or in person, because he didn't want any trace of it. So he always asked to meet me in person. The email basically was, can I do him a favour, because he was on the verge of a life-changing job opportunity.
Oh my God.
And he wanted to be able to move forward in his life with no hate. And why am I being so childish?
Oh my God,
yeah, why am I being so childish? He has got a life-changing opportunity and he needs to move forward with this.
I've got it up, I've got the email. The subject.
What's the subject?
Subject. He left a subject. Let's clear the air and move forward. That was the subject.
But it goes on to say...
this email... I can remember when you got this email. It is the most pathologically insane thing. No. I actually have to read one part out. Oh. No. Right, I'm 5 pages in to this email, right? And he goes, I'm also sitting on the capital letters for this. I'm also sitting on the maddest, when I'm doing this voice, it's capital letters. I'm also sitting on the maddest, most crazy, life-changing opportunity of my life to start a huge business at the minute. And I want to go into this full steam with a clear mind if I can.
And then at the bottom, is there the bit...
I screenshotted it and sent it back to you because it was just totally wild.
There's a bit at the bottom that says
But can
about
I say,
me moving on.
Can I also say, I've quoted it and said, I heard you got found, so I'm trying to spoil that for you and make that about me.
Yeah.
That's why this, I said, Holly, there is no crazy man. Then he said, if you're already talking to someone, which to be honest, my gut tells me you are, then I'll take it on the chin and have to accept and
Meanwhile, at
respect
this point,
it.
he's sleeping with someone else.
Like in this,
Which I found out literally about, when did I find that out? June. I found out that just before I had no idea at the time. I can't believe so-and-so is seeing him. And I was like, no way.
This was horrible.
No, well, when I tell you, it triggered me so badly because I was caught completely off guard. She was like, yeah, no, I can't believe so-and-so is seeing him or was seeing him beforehand, because when he got arrested, she was worried about what happened to him. And I was like, thingy who? Yeah, like I was still defending him as if to say, like, he wouldn't do that. There is no way. He was still messaging me, telling me that I'm seeing someone else. And this is why in the last episode I said to you, I can categorically tell you if someone is accusing you of something, they are doing it.
Well, my ex-boyfriend was like always scared I would hack him. He was so hot on cybersecurity. All of everything he was scared of me doing.
Yeah, because he was sitting at home Googling how to do it every night.
How to clone my phone number. That was everything he used to, because we obviously had a business together, he used to always meant, like, he was thinking, and I think, why would you ever think that of me? And it's what he went and did. And I had a friend as well who used to be really paranoid about me. She was going for a rough relationship, but she used to be really paranoid about me telling one of her family about what had happened to her. And I was like, I would never do, like, what? Why would you even think that? And she was always super paranoid about it. And then she went out and got drunk and saw my cousin and showed her all my messages.
That's what I mean, like, it always, whatever someone says about you is always a reflection of what they're doing.
Yeah, what they're capable of. Because I would never, my problem in life, and literally it's happened to me again recently, I'm consistently surprised by other people because I always expect other people to treat me the way I treat them, and I'm consistently let down because
that's why
they do things I'd never imagine.
Yeah.
So if anyone is thinking of you doing anything, it's because their brain thinks in that way. Because I never ever would imagine anyone would do anything horrible to me ever. Even after everything I've been through, I'm still not paranoid because it's not something I do myself.
It's just hard to fathom, isn't it? Like how people do have the morals that they do and do the things they do, and just and even in this situation, like even after everything he had done to me, he had beat me emotionally, physically, mentally, and I was still defending him. People
will never ever really truly understand. However bad you think it was what he did to Holly, you have got the tip of the iceberg. However bad you were imagining that it was, I promise you it was so much worse. Like it really was. Even just when I found the messages from the knee, and I've seen the picture of your knee.
Yeah, the day to day, and even still, no one will ever understand the day to day because I can't remember every little thing. But it was everything, everything. If I sprayed perfume, if I'd like crazy. But he, so unbeknown to me, in June, I found out that he was sleeping with someone else. That his family knew and some of his friends knew. Now, this triggered me so bad in June because
we were sat in the pub.
Yeah,
and we were filming stories on House of H.E.R, and this is when you were on the call with Amber, and it was all coming out.
All coming out because I'd been to an event and someone had said it to me, innocently or not innocently, I don't know, but
I thought not innocently.
I found out, and what got me so much was, number one, he was accusing me, and I thought, oh my God, and I felt like this, like, oh my God, why am I being accused of this? But number two, it was like, there was some part of me when he got arrested, or like back when it was all going on, that, and he was emailing me, that he had some remorse towards what he'd done to me. There was a part of me that hoped, because I still was trying to see the good in the situation, and there was still a part of me.
Because you can't imagine that someone could do that and not feel bad.
He would be laying in bed thinking, what I've done to this girl is awful.
He didn't. He wanted to do it again.
What he was doing was already sleeping with someone else and getting his claws into someone else and making out, oh yeah, we had a toxic relationship. Oh yeah, it's mad what's going on with her. It's mad what's going on with her. And the worst bit, the fucking worst bit of it all, because I am going to say it now, is that his family was speaking to the girl, and she had obviously panicked because he's now disappeared when he's been arrested. And this
the family who were calling, there was one family member in particular who, can I just say that the family member that it was?
No, I'm not even getting into that.
But there was one family member in particular who came and saved Hollie once and was really upset about what he'd done and couldn't condone and stand by it and was trying to pretend she was on our side and everything. After he'd been arrested, she was contacting this girl on his behalf.
So the girl basically, he'd got arrested and had disappeared, and he had asked this family member to reach out to the girl to say, I haven't ghosted you, basically. He's been arrested. So the girl was obviously picked up on what he's been arrested
you'd
for.
egged it, or it wasn't what it sounded like when she knew it was.
She had said to the family member who knew exactly what it was, is it true? And they basically said it's all accusations. He's a really protective boyfriend, and basically was trying to saying, oh, he'd really love to see you and speak to you. Yeah, I've heard she's exaggerated it. This family member had come to my house to rescue me once. She had told me to stay away from him, and he's now sitting on the phone while he's in prison for domestic abuse. He's trying to get another woman to go and visit him in prison. Now,
do you know what that is? If he'd have gone and killed that girl,
I saved that girl's life.
Yeah, but that you did. But that family member, you're an accessory, hon. Like, you are an accessory. If she died, you'd be an accessory to murder.
Honestly, and I've kept my mouth shut because, you know what, it's probably the one person out of this whole thing that I've had a bit of respect for. But actually now that I'm completely out of this whole manipulation tactic, I look back on that situation and I think, are you fucking off your head? Like, he's in prison for domestic abuse. You have domestic abuse that you know very, very well he has committed very well. You have seen pictures of what he's done to me. You have come to my house to rescue me.
You've said you weren't going to talk to him anymore and couldn't believe what he'd done.
When he's ringing you, asking you to reach out to this girl, how about say to him, are you fucking off your head? You're in prison for domestic abuse. I'm not bringing another girl near you. No, instead, she's voice noting, saying how I've made it up, how he's a protective boyfriend, not made it up, but how you've heard I've exaggerated it, and how much, and pushing her to go and visit him in prison because, you know, he's a good person, and how excited you are to go and see him. Meanwhile, you're telling us that you want nothing to do with him and that your heart lies with me. I call bullshit on the whole thing.
I call
bullshit. Sorry, I'm getting irate because the whole thing was so manipulating from the whole family.
I wish we had a judge's hammer.
Honest to God, like, it just gets me.
Can you smell that?
Bullshit. So yeah, that's where and you know, I'm not going to name family members' names. They know who they are. No doubt they're going to be sitting watching the podcast.
Get your popcorn out, darling. Have a cup of tea.
You know, I don't want this to be a thing, and I would say who it was because I don't. The reason I'm not saying it is not to protect anyone. I don't want any more drama. I want to move on, but I am going to say exactly how I've been treated and how things have happened and how I've ended up.
And share your story. Can I just ask you a question? Was that family member at court?
No.
Oh.
No.
Because I don't know who. There was two women.
Yeah.
Tell me in the car.
Yeah. But that really rocked me and triggered me because I could not fathom
that person.
It killed me learning that, and even after all that time, because I was still in a trauma bond, I probably still in bits of it am. To know that meanwhile I'm laying in bed unable to look after my children, hoping and praying that he feels some remorse, he's already shagging someone else.
But you were worried as well that he was going to be nice to her and not be horrible.
Yeah, because she said to me he's amazing, because it proves that exactly what they do at the beginning is exactly, and that's always the bit that I worried about, that he would be that amazing guy.
He's only going to ruin every life he touches.
Yeah. So that was that. So that I had to go back and add that bit in because that was a crucial part of when he was started to drive me mad in February and send me these emails. It all started again, the phone calls, the not leaving me alone, friends having to ring him and say back off and leave her alone, and I've got back into this state of, and he was messaging me saying, you know, I've been and he knew that he was sleeping with someone else, and at the time it didn't twig because he was saying to me, you look really sad on your social media, has something triggered you? I just want to explain, I swear to you I've not done anything else with anybody. Liar. But he had a guilty conscience, and he was messaging me saying, I look sad on my social media, I look sad because you'd fucking abused me for 1.5 years, not because I know that you're sleeping with someone.
Holly, he wanted you to know he was sleeping with someone, though.
Yeah, of course he did,
He
but
wanted
I
you to
actually
find out-
didn't.
It was nothing about that girl, though. She was going to be a pawn. How dare you leave him?
Yeah.
How dare you? I'm sitting on the maddest business opportunity. I'm sleeping with someone else. The reason you had that fear that he was going to go and find another woman and treat her the way he never treated you is because that's exactly how he wanted you to feel.
Yeah.
And that is what the seed he was planting in your head the whole time. That's why you were so scared of that. And that was what all of that was about. She was just going to be something to get you.
Absolutely, 100%. And I know.
He doesn't care about
yeah.
people. He doesn't like people.
Yeah.
He finds a victim.
Yeah.
It's like being a serial killer.
Yeah. And the whole time we was together, he was like, when I'd say, like, I was never allowed to go to the gym or anywhere where there was men. And I'd say to him, but you, and he'd be like, the last place I would ever talk to a girl is the gym. Well, where did you think? Everything was just bullshit. Everything was absolute
Let me
bullshit.
at the gym?
Yeah. Everything was bullshit. And
sorry, I'm not being... when we was in court as well, I was looking at him.
do you know the amount of people that have said that to me? Like,
Oh, you was there, and there was another ex-partner there. And I said that afterwards. I was like, how on earth did that little thing,
that little squirrel.
Yeah, that little squirrel, you were both so... She was epic as well.
Yeah.
She was such an amazing person. I
yeah.
sat next to her the whole time.
Yeah, she's lovely.
We was holding each other crying, but her
yeah, his
and you...
ex-partner, the mother of his children, actually came and sat with us in support of us, which says a lot, but it's not my story to tell.
No, but she was amazing. But she was really emotional, of course.
Yeah,
I was
of
hugging
course.
her,
Yeah,
but
she was...
she was a wonderful person. She was gorgeous. And I just thought, I don't know how he's managed it.
Because at the beginning he comes in as the life and soul of the party, and like everything you've dreamed of. But yeah, look, I'm trying to get through it because I know this episode is going on so much, but like I said to you, there is just so much to tell. So that was also another reason which did actually end up pushing me, aside from everyone else telling me I need to, because I thought, oh my God, this harassment is never going to stop. It's going to go quiet and I'm going to think I'm getting on with my life and it's all going to be all right. And then he's going to find a reason to... And he would have... God forbid I'd have ever posted a bikini picture or he'd seen a guy followed me. God knows what would have happened. God knows.
Well, also, he didn't deserve to. You don't get to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you don't get to ruin someone's life.
And walk around. And that's what my dad was like, you cannot even look after your children and he is going to get to walk around and do this. And it was just,
meeting girls at the gym.
And God forbid he'd have met someone else who didn't have a supportive family and friends. How I should have ended up. But I was on the brink and I've got a beautiful family, friends and 2 children. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here. I genuinely wouldn't. And let's get back to so they told me that he was going to basically be arrested and then charged in the CPS. It took them 4 weeks to arrest him, and I will never forget the phone call. I had a missed call off a family member of his and a missed call off the police.
That's exactly what I had.
And I knew I would just come out of my Monday morning Kundalini class, and I think it took them 3 or 4 weeks to arrest him because they basically have it on they tried to go to his address twice and he wasn't in, and it goes on a loop. So there's like a list of people that they're out looking for arrest. If one of them they can't get hold of, they move on to the next person, and then they go.
A lot of the time they go at night because they know that they're going to be.
So this time they went first thing in the morning. Anyway, they arrested him. And they phoned me and they was absolutely brilliant that we went over things. Anyway, they said to me, we're going to be, they arrested
really
him
were
at 9 in the
brilliant,
morning.
weren't they?
Oh my God, I cannot, I'm sorry. And I have a lot of negative to say about a lot. I cannot fault the police.
They really were amazing.
They were sensational.
They literally, they stood on business.
Oh my good God, and they did not leave a rock unturned.
They
with
ate.
him. Yeah,
they ate. They left no crumbs.
No, they literally didn't. They was absolutely like insane. And they phoned me at night, and he'd been arrested at 9 o'clock in the morning. They kept him in there all day. He must have been absolutely sweating. And they basically phoned me at night, and they had so what happened, they arrested him at night and said, we're going in to interview him. He will be released or whatever. We will let you know what happens. I get a text. So she said to me, would you like me to update you? And I was like, obviously I was never going to be able to sleep. At 3 o'clock in the morning, she texts me and said, they done an emergency CPS where the CPS have to review it within 8 hours, not 4 weeks. They done an emergency CPS case to make sure that they didn't have to release him. And he was charged with 6 charges. Now the charges did change as things went on. I don't go to the police, and no one goes to the police and tells them this is what I want him arrested for. All I knew was that it was domestic abuse. That is not down to me. The CPS go through the evidence, they see what is there, and they make the charges.
They can only do it on what is proven. It can't be, I was really upset, or this is really hurt me.
They had every bit of evidence for every charge.
The only time the impact of you comes into it is when he's been charged, he's pled guilty, and it's the impact of when they come to sentencing, not when it comes to charges or any of that. It has to be concrete evidence that they can prove beyond reasonable doubt.
So they done an emergency CPS and charged him with 6 charges, which they looked through the evidence and found, and they said to me, he's being kept in and he's been taken to court the next morning, first thing the next day. And I just, honestly, I was so shocked, I can't tell you.
You've been shocked the whole time.
The whole time, because I just thought he was going to get a slap on the wrist, questioned, and CPS may do something. And they obviously,
I can't believe you thought that.
I know, but I'd been conditioned to believe that it wasn't that bad, and it wasn't. Oh, it's just crazy. And then they sent him to court, and they told me that the chances are that the court will then bail him, but it will be stricter conditions. So rather than getting bail from just a police station, if you get bail from court, there is more heavy restrictions, and it's a bigger consequence if he breaks them. So I thought, okay, well, great. I went to Birmingham to do some trauma work, hadn't heard anything. I literally phoned the police and I was like, is there any update? And they was like, no, not yet. And as I was on the phone, the police officer said, no, just come in. As we're on the phone, he's been sent to prison. He will remain on remand until
his plea hearing.
His plea. And at that point, I thought,
I remember.
Oh my God, this is.
I was on the phone to you in the car on the way back. Yeah. You were in a tizzy while you were there.
Oh my God,
as well.
I couldn't believe it.
You was really in your mental health. Even I remember the state you were in at that point. You were in a really bad place.
Oh my God, and even still was in a bad place, because none of this is happy.
It doesn't make you feel better. None of this is happy.
No. Like, none of it made me feel better. But in actual fact, I feel like it made me feel worse, because I thought, I haven't imagined this, and now I was realising what I was under with him, of how I was being made to believe, and how serious this was now being taken. People don't get put on remand. They get bowed, and the fact that he was put on remand, the fact of they see him as such a danger, they took so serious what he had done to me, made me feel worse, because I thought, oh my God, what have I actually been through? What have I actually been living through that I have normalised so badly
that it's taken this seriously,
and now it's being taken this seriously, and it just. And I think what we'll have to do is, I feel like that was a great way of summing up me leaving and getting to the court process, because that pretty much sums up how it got to where it got to, and the next bit is the justice. But I think
Save
that needs
it.
an episode on its own. I feel like this was needed because I feel like it was cut short, but I told you of what my relationship was like, but actually the aftermath,
Which is such a huge part of
which
your
is
journey.
such a huge part of my journey. So
and what maybe a lot of our listeners are on right now. So it's really important.
So I think that's really important. And then I think what we'll do, we've released a post today about the justice, so you know what you got. But Molly can tell you on her side, sitting listening to it from a friend's point of view.
I have a lot of notes.
Yeah, and and I will talk through me and what I stood up, and I will also maybe even read my personal victim statement.
I'd really love that.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So I think the justice needs an episode on its own.
Yeah, it does.
So we'll wrap it up here. I hope for anyone who's thinking about going through the process, this sheds some insight into how it happens. For anyone of an outside who just wants, but yeah, I hope this has shed some light on leaving and the aftermath of it.
And it is wrong. Anyone who touches you at all in any violent way, even anyone who emotionally abuses you, any abuse, it is wrong. And it look how bad Hollie's was and how much she minimised it. So you might
not mad.
No, and actually it is serious, and you don't need to accept that.
And if you are and you're not sure where to turn, we will have links in the show notes, but also if you DM us on Instagram, and if you want a bit more, we've got our Her, but DM us and we can send you links. We can point you in the right direction. We're not therapists. We're not, we're not the police. We can't actually personally deal with it, but what we can do
is
point you in the right direction, support you, and give you the tools to survive
and tell you
heal.
how we got. Yeah. Which is what this is all about, really.
So thank you for listening. I know that's a long episode, so if you're still here, thank you so much. But I feel like that was a huge part of the journey that needed to be shared.
It really did. That was really important, and I think it's going to help so many people. And I'm proud of you.
Love you.
Love you. Bye, guys. Love you.